when you're dieting, you're going to have good weeks and you're going to have bad weeks. And I'd like to talk to you about my bad week tonight. The reason is because it's a reminder for me that bad weeks happen and that you need to just kind of push through them so that you see the other side. But it's also hopefully a reminder for you that if you're in the middle of your weight loss journey, or even if you're just getting started, there are going to be times when you have off weeks, let's call them. We're not even going to call them a bad week, we'll call them an off week. And hopefully by learning a little bit more about mine, it'll help you to prepare for yours so that you can be successful with your weight loss journey. So my off week with dieting really started about a month or so ago. I had been dieting for about 10 weeks. I started out at 263 pounds. At that point, I dipped below 240 pounds for the first time. Now, that was on July 14th, I believe it was, right in the middle of July. And I bounced around that weight for a month. I mean, well, for not quite a month, but maybe 20 days. So it was the 4th of August. I hit over 240 again. You can imagine how frustrating that is when you're seeing those constant drops on the scale. Some ups and downs. You're going to experience that with dieting, with calories. But the thing is that I really wanted to see progress, but I wasn't seeing any progress. I'd go down a few pounds, I'd go up a few pounds. Well, you can see on the chart that I really stayed around there for quite some time, but then I finally broke through and saw the other side. Now, what was it that made that such a difficult time? Well, there were a number of different factors, and AI helped me to understand them and really to not focus on them so closely that I would give up. Because, in the past, I would diet until I had a bad week, and then I'd take a break and never come back again. I mean, I'd try to fool myself into thinking that I would, I'll take a weekend off and eat some carbs, or, I'll do whatever diet I was on. I'd figure I'd need a break for a weekend or a few days, but you know how that goes. You never come back again. But that wasn't the case here. I realized that I was having some bigger meals. I was still in a calorie deficit, so my energy expenditure, my TDEE, total daily energy expenditure, is about 2,500 calories. The reason I know that is because I track everything. I write down everything that I eat. I weigh it. I make sure that the calories are accurate. And I could see in the 10 weeks of weight loss up until that time how the scale was dropping and how many calories I was eating. So my energy expenditure was about 2,500. I was eating about 1,500, maybe 1,600 sometimes on the average. So I was dropping a couple of pounds a week. 1,000 calories a day, 7,000 calories a week, deficit, that's 2 pounds. So, end of the math lesson. But the problem is that I was sometimes having some heavier meals. I was eating later at night, which isn't a big problem on its own. Eating late is not going to make you fat. Eating too many calories is going to make you fat. But there's a difference between gaining fat and gaining weight. And in those 2 weeks, I was gaining and losing weight. I was also losing fat at the same time. But the fluctuations on the scale had a lot to do with the types of meals that I was eating, the timing of the meals. I had some big calorie days. Some calorie days I was up to 2,400 calories, which is close to maintenance. Now I'd balance it out over the week. I don't consider any day to be a win or a loss. If I have a 2,500 calorie day, sometimes I plan ahead for it and I'll cut back a little bit. I'll front load my calorie deficit so that I can have that extra treat maybe on the weekends if we're going to eat out or something. Or if I'm going to have my grandson and I want some pizza. Or if I just want some pizza, you know. I make sure I account for that ahead of time by keeping things a little bit more balanced over a week's time, sometimes over 2 weeks' time. But in those 2 weeks, I was, fairly consistent. I was up and down with my calories, but it was still balancing out to around 1,500 or 1,600 calories. The problem was also is that I had been losing weight for quite some time. That put stress on the body. I had low energy because my body had been in a deficit now for 10 weeks or more. I was eating fewer calories than it needed, so it was, burning the fat for fuel. The thing is that I was losing weight, so I was losing that fat. But the amount of water that my body was holding on to was off the charts. It was up, it was down, it was. If it could have been going back and forth, it probably would have. And you can see that in the chart that I had grafted up on with AI, that it did really stick there. Now, most people would say I've plateaued. I've stopped losing weight. This isn't working anymore. That's not true. I mean, the math still worked out. I was eating fewer calories than I was burning, so I was losing fat, but I wasn't losing weight. And really, I was having some serious decision fatigue. I was like, do I really need to figure out what I'm going to eat today? Do I have to count calories? Do I have to, it was getting a little bit tiring. And sometimes we all need a break, but I was determined that I was going to stick to it, that I was going to count my calories, and I was going to just push through that. And let me tell you, it wasn't easy. Now, look, I'm just a normal person. I've been able to stick to this diet because it's the first diet that's worked for me in my entire life for this long. And I plan on sticking to it until I'm at maintenance. But the thing is that it's not always easy. And there are going to be times when I have a bad day or a bad week. Sometimes I may even need a little bit of a break. But that's the beauty of this type of lifestyle. We'll call it a lifestyle. It's a diet. Yes, it's a diet, but it's more of a lifestyle that we hold on to. I could eat at maintenance. If I wanted to, I could say, well, I'm just going to eat at maintenance for a week. So I'll up my calories by 1,000 a day. Most people would be shocked at something like that. Well, you're going off your diet. Actually, no, I'm just taking a little break and then I'll get back to it. This isn't a sprint. This isn't like all of the other diets that promise you fast results and overnight success and, you're going to lose 10 pounds in a week. That's not what this is about. This is about actual, long-lasting and sustainable weight loss. And so far, I'm down close to 35 pounds, 33 pounds, I think it is, in 15 weeks. And, that's okay with me. Is it as good as some of the fad diets promise? Probably not. Well, definitely not. But, there's no dangerous shots that I'm taking, and I'm not doing anything extreme. I didn't even have to give up the things that I loved. The daily Coke I have almost every day, and sometimes I have ice cream, which is something I love, or pizza or candy. I do try and keep things balanced as much as possible. Not at first. At first, it was 100% about weight loss. It was not about healthy eating. But now I do try to eat a little bit better. I try to pay attention to the amount of protein that I eat. I've been drinking more water, which is pretty amazing for me because I've never really done that in my life. But the bad week that I had, or the bad couple of weeks, they're behind me now. All I need to do is kind of wait for the next time they come rolling around. But I'm going to be prepared. And if I experience those problems, if I see the scale start to flatline, I'll just step back for a minute and I'll think about it. I've written everything down. I have everything recorded So there's no question as to what's going on, how much I'm eating, how many calories I'm eating. But, maybe I'll be able to notice the trend. And if I can't, I'll just plug the data into ChatGPT and it'll give me the trend that I need. So you can see it right here on this scale. I'll put up on the screen. There's this couple of weeks right here where I just bounced all around 240 pounds. And that represents a significant amount of time, a couple of weeks when you're dieting and you're trying your best and you're not seeing the results that you want. That's a significant amount of time. But you notice that also afterward, the trend dropped again. And if you look back, it's actually happened a number of times. I go down and up and down and up and down and up. That's true weight loss. That's the way that you can lose weight, and I feel like I can sustain this for the rest of my life. So I just wanted to give you some encouragement, and maybe myself a little bit of encouragement as well. When you experience bad days, just know that there's a better day around the corner. This isn't only true of weight loss, it's true of almost anything in life, but we're talking about weight loss here. As long as you're counting your calories, being honest with yourself, recording everything, and you continue to push forward, you will see success because the math works out. Thanks for watching.